Hey, this is James Burden with Stuttering Blueprint. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Fergus. Let's level up.
Hey, time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. It is Scott Ferguson, and I'm having my good friend James Burden, speech pathologist, works with people that stutter. And he does it in a really unique way. It's a little bit different than the old approaches, a little bit more holistic. And actually, to me, I don't know if it's someone that really stutters, it'd be fun, but I think it's just better, a more enjoyable environment to learn from. A lot of grace and space, a lot of like cheering you on. And if you are somebody that stutters. So if someone stutters, share this with them. They'll want to hear this episode because this holistic approach is beyond what I could ever thought that even could be possible out there for in the speech pathology world. So if you like it, please smash the like button, subscribe, sponsors and affiliates. Absolutely love it. So please have an enjoyable time listening to this fantastic episode with my good friend James Burden. Let's level up. Hey, Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. Welcome back to another powerful edition of the Time to Shine Today podcast with me, Coach Fergie. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, blessed to be your GAP coach, specializing in performance, mental conditioning, working with professional and amateur athletes, business leaders, entrepreneurs, entertainers, C-suite, and students to help them bridge the success gap to live a life of options and not obligations. On this platform, we are stoked to bring you high performers who are not just chasing and attaining success, but redefining it through providing above and beyond service. And squad, get ready to meet a true voice liberator. My good friend James Burton is a speech language pathologist and founder of the Stuttering Blueprint, where he helps people who stutter speak with conviction and build real connections through his unstoppable voice process. He tossed outdated fluency hacks and built a bold, holistic method blending ACT, mindfulness, and the Camperdown approach, empowering clients to drop the fear and own their voice. This episode is all about courage, transformation, and turning struggle into strength. And let's level this up. And James, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color? Well, it used to be green my whole life, and then at some point it switched to red. There's just something
I
about
love it,
that
man.
color that is
Yeah.
so rich and fiery and vibrant, you know?
Right. It's Squad. We were just off mic kind of talking about his journeys in Peru and the memories that he's making. So I'm just so happy that he's actually here with us today because it took a lot of hoops to kind of jump through to get him on here, man. So again, James, thanks so much for coming on, brother. And I know that you might have a little message to kind of talk to the squad out there.
Yeah, I'd love to speak directly to the audience
Please,
for a moment. Yeah, okay. Well,
please.
so I just want to speak to everyone out there who stutters because I know you're out there listening. Even if it's not you, you probably know someone who does. And the message we've been getting forever is that stuttering means there's something wrong with you, and if you don't fix it, you don't speak right. And I'm just here to change that. Stuttering isn't just about speech. It's what happens after. It's the self-doubt, second guessing, and the shrinking away from opportunities. That's what really matters.
Wow.
And pretty
Wow.
soon, stuttering isn't just affecting how you talk, it's running your whole life. And I've worked with clients who've turned down promotions. These are professionals, ghosted interviews because they just couldn't face going into this thing and possibly stuttering, skipped out important dates like their friend's wedding or not going to on a date because they might stutter. And
Wow.
it's not because they weren't capable, it's because they didn't trust that they could handle stuttering in the moment.
Right.
And I'm going to talk a lot more about what stuttering is, what we're
Yeah.
recently learning stuttering is,
Right.
and how that's going to affect people going forward.
And you kind of threw out like the old realm of like, what did people do like with stutters before to help get them right? And I'm saying this in quotes if you're watching a Vimeo or YouTube. Like before, what was the protocol for a stutterer before you come with this revolutionary approach?
Well, the protocol in the old days was all about fluency,
Right.
basically talking about going from stuttering to speaking without stuttering, and the other word for that is fluency.
Gotcha.
And fluency is great, and I'm not against using fluency techniques, but it is not what matters deep down. What matters deep down is what's underneath the fluency iceberg or the stuttering iceberg. So this old stuttering therapist, Joseph Sheehan, many years ago, talked about the stuttering iceberg. You got the top, and this is what traditional therapy works on. It works on the top of the iceberg, the stuttering, maybe some avoidance behaviors, but it's ignoring all of this big underneath the water iceberg, which has got the feelings, the thoughts, the myths, the internalized negative self-beliefs about yourself based on how you speak. If we don't address that, if we don't take this whole iceberg to water, warmer water and melt it from the bottom, then we just chip away at the top and it keeps rising back up from all of that ice
What an
underneath.
analogy, dude. That is an amazing, because the underneath the water is 3 times bigger than above.
Way
I,
bigger.
I've
Yeah.
been blessed when I was in the military to sail around Cape Horn, where you'd see icebergs, and people would be like, "Dude, you're only seeing a bit of it. What it actually is." So what in a metaphor! You hear that, squad? The metaphor they built, it's like the top is just that. It's like the tip of the iceberg, but below that is where all the doubt, the lost opportunities, and all that other jazz that can like ruin and run someone's life. That's taken out of what you just said, like runs and ruins. I mean, it's. I love how you put this, and it made it so relatable. So I'm sorry to inject, but this is just amazing. Keep going, please.
No, no, no. Thank you for it's a perfect interjection because when we only work on the surface and we can make progress. And this is the way old therapy was. And you would make progress. You'd see an increase in fluency, but what would happen is that it wouldn't last.
Mm.
It would be like what I call white knuckle fluency,
Hmm.
just like holding on for dear life. I gotta make sure I don't stutter. But all of the thoughts, all of the if I stutter, I've failed. If I don't speak right, people are gonna judge me. I'm already judging myself. And that can turn into a vicious cycle.
Mm.
So you're anxious about speaking, so you tighten up, stutter. Oh, look, I was right. I stuttered on that word or in that situation. I better avoid that in the future.
Mm.
But then we can also run it the other way. If you're in a situation where you've got support, you've got
Mm.
other people maybe who stutter in the group, you've got a good therapist, you can start to relax. You can start to realize that it's okay if an odd stutter comes out. It's not such a big deal. You're not holding on so tight.
Mm.
That's where fluency can actually increase by holding on less tightly, like
Okay.
reducing that white knuckle.
Got
But there's a lot more to it than just say, "Oh, go ahead and stutter and everything will be fine."
right.
Obviously, that's not going to work for people. Well, that's why we use ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy. It's an offshoot, like a more modern offshoot of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's about understanding that thoughts, negative thoughts about stuttering or whatever are gonna happen and
Sure.
being able to witness and let them pass. So there's like a mindfulness, there's a meditation style to it. It's very and it's its own path towards your own values. What do you value? Do you value hiding the stutter, or do you value putting yourself out there and taking risks? And I'm not putting value judgments on others. You know what? Hiding a stutter is something that most people who stutter have done for a very long time, and they have very good reasons for doing so
Sure.
because they're not treated well.
Right. Right. So the acceptance commitment therapy is kind of you are working towards not stuttering, but when you do, you kind of give yourself grace and space, witness it, and just kind of like send it on down, like putting it on a leaf and send it on down the stream, right? Kind of. Am I?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Now, you could use acceptance commitment therapy just to be a completely open stutterer.
Okay.
Most people aren't ready for that.
Okay.
Most people want to also work on their speech, but
Sure.
then be a little bit okay when sometimes things don't go exactly the way they
Got
planned.
you. But are they
Where
still efforting to like curb the stuttering
if they
in
choose
that?
to, if
If they
they choose
got
to,
you.
we
Okay. Got
this
it.
is where the old techniques can work, but only in the context
Sure.
of
Right.
self-acceptance. If we
Right.
try to do it without that, it's going to break down eventually. And it
Gotcha.
has so many times, and this is why people don't trust stuttering therapy and why it's been a challenge for many years because they'll
Sure.
see progress and then they see what they would think of as regression. And what it is just like this lack of having dealt with the underneath of the iceberg.
Wow. Okay, so you use ACT, which
Act,
let me
yep.
ask you again. I'm not trying to throw. Are you just telling people, oh, it's okay if you stutter? Like, is that what the ACT therapy is, or is it like? Because I think that every stutterer that I've known in person wants to not, right? I mean,
Exactly.
okay, but like I'm just go a little deeper at because again, I'm super curious now.
We're not talking about accepting stuttering. Like we can, and if people are ready for that, that's great. But as you say, most people who stutter aren't looking to just accept themselves.
Sure.
They're looking to stutter less.
Right. Right. Okay.
On the way to stuttering less, self-acceptance, which
Love
is
it.
not
Get it
the
now. Yeah.
acceptance of like, okay, I'm going to stutter forever. That's just resignation. That's like giving up,
That's a great way to put it. Yes, that it is.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Acceptance is that I stutter.
Okay.
It's going to happen sometimes.
Gotcha.
That's okay.
Love it.
I'm going to
Okay.
work on reducing it. But when it
Yeah.
happens, it's not going to throw me off. It's not going to send me into a shame spiral. It's not going to make me hold back from my life.
Right. Right.
I'm going to work on it while knowing it's okay. And
Right.
adults, people can hold these two things
Sure.
together. I even have I don't think we're going to have time, but I have a whole visualization exercise that helps people do
Maybe we'll
that,
bring
which
you
is,
back for it. You know, that
yeah,
this is
okay, yeah.
really, really like this is good stuff. So, do you meet with people one on one when you work with them? Obviously, mainly like kind of one on one, correct?
Well, ideally, in the long term, I want my clients to join our group
Sure.
because
Okay.
there's so much power in meeting other people who stutter. Our self-judgment
Mm,
suddenly
love
falls
that.
apart when you meet someone else and you see their humanity. And like now you're not judging them. So then you have to question why you judge yourself so harshly. But I have
Yeah.
to meet people where they are, and many people who stutter don't want to meet other people who stutter
Okay.
because they
Mm,
one of the myths, and there are so many myths around stuttering,
right.
but one of the myths around stuttering is that if I start to stutter, I won't be able to stop. If I meet other people who stutter, I'm going to get triggered and I'll just stutter forever and it's going to be terrible. So
Mm,
this idea of I gotta hold on so tight, if I let go at any point, it's over, which actually works the other way. When you start to meet other people, when you start to interact with other people, you start to see their humanity, take that own judgment away from yourself, accept them, and by accepting them, accept yourself. These are such powerful healing methodologies, and they've been around for a long time, but they are stunted by this fear and this
sure.
myth.
So, what was it that is there anything personal about stuttering that made you want to go in and spear go sharpen the spear like into the helping people that stutter?
I had an incredibly moving experience
Okay.
when I had first started my career as a speech therapist. I hadn't even graduated from grad school.
Mhm.
I started at this 10-day, super intensive, old school stuttering intensive workshop.
Okay.
So there was some stuff about thoughts and feelings, but it was mostly about prolonged speech, reducing the stutter. And I saw 10 people go from stuttering intensely, many of them quite intensely, like
Mhm.
very hard to understand even, to fluent. And it took
Wow.
10 days but this was intensive. This was like 8 hours a day, 10 days. Well, I think it was 7 days and then a break and then another long weekend, like within 2 weeks. So it's a
Right.
lot of intensive studying. What I learned, this was so moving to see this that I got mentors after grad school.
Mhm.
I got sent a lot of clients. I got a lot of help in learning how to do this kind of therapy from real giants in the field in Vancouver.
That's great.
And so I had all of the help. But even then, even what happened was I started seeing clients, I started seeing the same kind of progress, but now I was able to do it in much less time, not intensive. Now I'm able to do it online even, which is super
That's
cool.
beautiful, man. That's so cool. Yeah.
But here's what got me, okay? So I was reaching out to one of my old clients many years after the fact. This is like 10 years later with no therapy in between. And I expected to hear how he's doing great, but he was on a Zoom call with me and he looked through the screen and he said, James, I don't know what happened. I just started falling into old habits. I started avoiding. I started not using my technique. And it was almost as if he felt like he'd let me down, which hit me right in the heart because I
Oh,
felt like I'd let him down,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Like I screwed up. I was supposed to give you this perfect stuttering methodology that's going to help you not stutter for the rest of your life. And here you are 10 years later, back in the same boat. So this is when I had to go back and went back to the research. I started looking into ACT. I into self-acceptance.
Yeah.
I talked to a friend of mine who's a big stuttering advocate, and she
Right.
talked to me about neurodiversity.
Okay.
And so we're looking at stuttering now as a neurodivergence, like ADHD, like autism, like left-handedness.
Okay.
Okay. Because when we look at it like that, imagine it was in some of our parents' lifetimes that you got punished for being left-handed.
Heard that.
And you
Yeah.
yeah, you had to write with your right hand. You're not allowed to use your left. Now anyone would look at that and say that's crazy. Why would you do that to somebody?
Gotcha.
That's the way I think it's gonna go with stuttering. People are like, okay, once we break the myths, it's just another form of neurodivergence, like being ADHD. So many people are ADHD and they have their own shame around it, but we're moving through that. So now is the time. Now is the time. The neurodivergence movement is huge. And I think if we can get stuttering put in its rightful place there, then its acceptance will widen as well. But what's more important than the world accepting it is the people who stutter themselves accepting themselves. And it's like kind of one of those from the inside out
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
issues.
So I have to ask you, since you are a pro in the field, like Conway Twitty, the country singer,
Yep.
wicked bad. No, was it Mel? What one of them had a really bad stutter, but when they sing, they don't have it. Where is that from? And I know other people that can do things with their voice in certain situations without stuttering. But if you just have a conversation with them, they're stuttering. Like, what is a switch that's in that? And if you ever, is there ever been research that said, okay, let's find out what the neural pathways are there and then see how they would align into their just regular life? Again, I'm just curious, like, why can he sing without stuttering, but he can't talk?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this because my masterclass goes into this a little bit and why that is,
Okay.
that I'll tell you about later. But the way that we teach people to control their stutter, and this is again the fluency piece, not the underneath the iceberg piece, is a form of what we call prolonged speech. So
Mhm.
it is slowing the speech down and making sure it's connected and flowy in much the same way that people sing, but we take out the notes and we make it sound natural for speaking.
Mm.
Okay. So the almost anyone, in fact, everyone I think who stutters can still sing. You don't stutter when you sing. Something to do with the way that our breath support and our continuous phonation, that's the ah sound here. We're continuously using the voice, and there's no chance for a stutter to get in. It's nice and
Right.
flowy. And that's the exact way we approach more fluency. And it works like a charm as
Love
long
it.
as you're doing the other work as well.
Right. Wow. How about the movie, which is one of my favorite of all time, The King's Speech? Like, what is your kind of take on that? Is that kind of more of the old school kind of thing that we were talking about with moving towards fluency, or what is your thoughts on that movie? Because it's literally one of my favorite movies ever.
I love
Because
that movie. It
yeah,
it came out the year I graduated from grad school. So that was
wow,
like 2009. It's an old movie now.
yeah,
Like it's been around like
yeah, it's been a minute, yeah,
16,
absolutely,
17 years,
sure,
something like that.
right,
And at the time, I didn't know enough about stuttering to really know if it was accurate or not. I don't know if it was hugely historically accurate,
right.
but
And I thought it was that bad,
in terms
yeah,
of the therapy, but I
yeah,
know that the king actually stuttered, and this is a man who was under an enormous amount of pressure from the royal family, from his
yes,
country. He
yeah,
was giving speeches throughout World War II when
yeah, yeah,
England is like worried about invasion constantly. Like this is a scary time, and he has to stand up and he stutters and he does. And whether I agree with his therapist's methods, I
right,
mean, a long time ago, right?
right,
He
right,
did it. He
yeah,
did it.
right,
And if someone like that can do it with support, we have much more modern support, much more holistic support. It's not
right,
all about the speech. It's all about like fixing what's really underneath,
right,
right? It is possible to make a huge difference. And I'm seeing it in one of my clients right now.
yeah.
Can I share a little client
Please,
story with
yeah, I
you?
would love to hear it. Yes, please.
Okay. So she's been in the program about, I think, 6 weeks now. So she's not even done, but she's doing amazing. And I think for her, because there's two different types of clients that I can have. Sometimes if they're on the more severe side, then or the more intense side of the stutter, then the gains they make are much more obvious. They're like, wow,
Right.
wow, I'm stuttering so much less. And then there's other people who don't actually like to hear them, you wouldn't say that they stutter that much,
Mhm.
but inside, in their mind, in their heart, in their stomach, they feel the pressure to be perfect. So it's actually doesn't seem to matter how much someone stutters on the outside. It's how much they're thinking about it on the inside.
Right.
Because I've also met other people who stutter a ton and they just don't seem to care because they've come to terms with it.
Right.
But
That's their
she's
acceptance, right, of their own stuttering.
exactly.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
I do find that sometimes women, I think because women are under a lot more societal pressure than men are, just in
Absolutely.
general, I think that stuttering can actually affect them more on a psychological level. So for her, I wouldn't say she's the most severe, but it's really gotten her here, and we're working through it. She's starting to soften. She's starting
Nice.
to see it in a different light.
Right.
She's starting to put herself out there and like, yes, she's using the speech technique to be more fluent because that
Mhm.
helps her feel calm in the moment. But then as she's doing that and as she's putting herself out there and moving up the speech hierarchy, we we want people to put themselves a little bit out of their comfort zone, just a little bit every
Sure.
day, just to like, I'm going to talk to this person that I would usually avoid. Now I'm going to talk to this person that I would usually avoid. Come back, talk to me, talk to the group, bring it up, celebrate each other's wins. This is where you get
Love
the
that.
real
I
progress to
love that you're
happen.
doing it in the group setting too, because like I was wondering because sometimes you can just get with uh, with your speech pathologist or somebody that's working with you, it's like you just get so down. And some of those people, they probably really like the support from their peers, right? And then they actually will perform better a lot of times when they have that support, which can carry over into quote unquote real world, right? And I
Absolutely. This is where the power is, practicing with each other.
love
That
this.
being said, I do want to point out for anyone listening and interested in doing this kind of support that if you're not there yet,
Hmm.
that's okay. A lot of people still have that fear, and we start one-on-one just to get a feel for it
Gotcha.
and maybe
Okay.
introduce you gradually. So it's not just here you go, here's a whole bunch of people that
Yeah.
stutter and go. No, it's
Right.
like a more graduated entry and went on people's own pace.
Love that. Let we dig a little bit into you here, James. So, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so
Yes.
it's been 40 years ago last week it came out. Crazy, right? I was 13 when it came out, 53 now. It's crazy. Anyways, so let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly, right? Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old James, okay? What kind of knowledge nuggets in life, right, did you pick up that you might pass on to him, not to change anything on your trajectory, but maybe shorten a learning curve a little bit or blast through a little quicker in life in general?
Be kinder to yourself, buddy. Like just
Buddy, I love that
be.
you added buddy, man.
I know.
Love that.
Oh my God. I spent so much time judging myself, and this is my own journey
Love it.
recently. Like I went through divorce, brain tumor, financial crisis, my all the pillars of my life. And then when I discovered that I hadn't been doing speech therapy for stuttering, right, and I had to go change everything, I felt like all everything was crumbling down. And I was so hard on myself. Why aren't you successful? Why did you give up your old way of doing things? You were doing fine. Now what are you doing? You're crazy. I'm just hard on
Right.
myself. I'm hard on myself with sports when I'm learning how to wing foil or kite surf or
Right.
ski. It's like, why aren't you doing it better, faster? And just
Yeah.
like, it doesn't help and
Right.
it actually holds you back.
Right. Yep.
And I
Yep.
thought you needed that to stay sharp, to stay on it. But actually, I realize now that I've just been shooting myself in the foot with all this personal negativity, which if I
Mhm.
had put the energy that I was using to criticize myself on improving, I'd be way further ahead than I am now.
Love
But
it.
I'm not criticizing myself for that because that would just be the same thing.
I love that you hear that, Squatty. Basically, so give yourself grace and space in those moments, right? Like really don't quit, but give yourself grace and space. Sometimes you just have to step back and reevaluate sometimes, but just keep progressing and moving forward. And James, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date. How does James want his dash remembered?
You know what? I don't know if this is super hokey sounding. I want to
We
raise the
like hokey here.
vibration of the world, honestly. And yeah, okay, I'm picking stuttering right
Yeah.
now as the place that I think I can raise the vibration. But I, in this journey that I've been on, I started a very deep meditation practice. I did Vipassana, 10-day silent retreat, and what I've realized is all of this stuff on the outside, all my striving for success, all my trying to be better at everything is actually it's all kind of meaningless.
Right. Yep.
What actually matters is what's in here. And I know if that sounds hokey, go
Dude,
for it.
it 100% is true.
I
And
know
with
it's
the,
just
yeah, with the coaching clients that I have that I'm blessed, like they're famous, right? But what we do is we really work on what is in there in them like I'm not a consultant. I can't like I'm not a speech pathologist to be like do this and this. I'm basically holding a mirror up to them like listen, you're okay. But this is what you want and you're a different version of the world than to yourself, right? And to love yourself. I mean, that's why I love that you were very transparent there. You pointed out some stuff that you didn't like about yourself, and but it's still part of you, right? And you working through it. I love that. I love it. And so, do you think there's anything, or let me ask, what do you feel people might misunderstand the most about you?
about me. Oh, I sometimes I wonder if people think I got it all together all the time. Because,
I get that
because
all the time, dude. Like Fergie, you are like, I'm like, bro, you have zero clue. It's
this
like,
this is what I'm finding on podcasts. I talk to people, and every time I meet somebody, they present like I'm looking at you right now. You're presenting super confident, like very
right.
strong voice, everything. But I know I don't know you well, but I know that you've got some stuff going on in there. And you were just
100%.
talking about all these famous people who everyone looks at. I mean, I don't know which famous people you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not going to tell me,
Yeah, I
but
can't,
I'm
unfortunately.
sure from
Yeah.
the outside, everyone thinks this guy's got everything.
Yeah.
But then there are the Robin Williams of the world, right? Like that
Hmm.
guy had everything and he took his own life. So what does that mean
Right.
about people not feeling good enough? Like, is it about chasing the next goal, the next goal, the next goal, the next goal, and never getting there because there's always a new goal? We're
Yeah.
always moving that goalpost. We gotta get okay in here. Gotta get
Hmm.
okay in here.
Yeah. You can't you you can't progress without being okay where you're at. But also, when you get to the new peak, celebrate yourself. Like that's the hardest thing that for me to get through to people without trying to consult them. I want them to realize that it's okay to I call it stacking dubs or stacking W's wins, right? You stack
Yeah.
that dub. And for people like you and I, the top of one peak is the bottom of the next because we're always wanting to go up, right? But we got to spend time and enjoy, like, and give yourself credit sometimes for invisible progress, right? You've got to do it. And I can see you doing that with I call them patients or your clients, but you're almost forcing them in your own way to give themselves credit for very little progress, right? So they keep moving forward and keep moving forward. It's like I can see you planting that in their brain, like listening with your neck, like really empathetic to them, right? I can see you in action, which is a
Well,
beautiful thing.
I think I love to celebrate when clients come back and they tell me a story about, oh, I did this and I didn't stutter, or I did that and I didn't
Yeah,
stutter. But you
dude,
know what
that's
I
awesome.
really like to hear?
What's that?
I did stutter and I didn't get thrown off and I just kept going. I was like, yeah, I stuttered and then it was okay. It was fine. I just kept
Yeah,
going and I kept going. And then the more that happens, that I really, really clap hard for those. I mean, both are great, but
right.
that's super cool because that represents a shift in thinking.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because they're like they they actually trip up or stutter, but they just kept plowing through, right? And they
Yeah.
just keep going and going, and they're after a while, it's like whatever. But they still want to progress, but they're giving themselves that grace and space to just keep firing forward. So, James, what is your definition of a life well lived?
Man, I used to think it was a collection of the best experiences. How many places have you been? What have you succeeded in stuff? How many sports have you done?
Right.
Like just like kind of a big list. And when I stack it up and when I die, I'm going to have this big list of awesome. And what I'm realizing is, especially as I get older, it's about the connections. It's
Mm,
about how you vibrate with people. It's about how you move people.
right.
The changes you can make, and I'm not necessarily saying like cosmetic changes like reducing stuttering, but like helping someone realize that they are okay
Yeah.
and they are fine and good is
Love that.
so much more rewarding than doing a new trick on my wing foil. I mean, I love that too.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah. I love that they're celebrating and stacking the dubs no matter what the win is. And like I have people that in my kind of squad of coaches where we get together and be like, let's have an energy exchange. Right. And that's what we call it. We don't call it a meeting. We don't like, because I don't know if you ever drink kava at all, but like I enjoy kava and I have a kava bar in South Florida here. And we go, let's have an energy exchange. We'll go there and we'll just bounce stuff off each other that we're kind of working through. And that I love that vibration, like that you kind of talk about and just keep the vibration going and going, right? So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. James, if you ever make it back stateside here, or even though we are in two different countries technically by citizenship, but if you ever make it to South Florida and want to get warm, like I'm sure we'll meet up and probably talk about some of these questions for 15, 20 minutes. But today, you got 5 seconds with no explanations, and I
okay.
promise they can all be answered that way. You ready
Okay.
to level up?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do
Here
this.
we go. James, what's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Go inside.
Yes. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Daily meditation.
Yes. So you might see me at an event or hanging out, or you're like, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you have read that really kind of flipped the script to kind of pull you more into positivity?
The Power of Now.
Love it. Great book. Your most commonly used emoji when you text.
The smiley face with the open mouth.
I
The really
love it.
excited. Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Nicknames growing up.
Jimmy and Jimbo.
Love it. A hidden talent that you have, or superpower or hidden talent that you have that nobody really knows about until now?
Oh, hidden talent. Let me think. Okay, I can juggle. Okay, that's lame, but whatever. I'd
That's
steal the
still a
first one that
talent.
came up.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Checkers.
Love it. Headline for your life.
What's he gonna do next?
That's awesome. Go to ice cream flavor.
I know this is lame, but it's no chocolate.
Okay, very cool. There's a sandwich called a Jimbo. Build that sandwich for me. What do we have?
Okay, so we're gonna have avocado because it's my favorite vegetable. Avocado, Vegemite. I'm partially from New Zealand, so I know it's gross to most people, but us Kiwis and Aussies love it.
Right.
So once you got those two, then some cheese, tomato, salt. Sometimes I'm a vegetarian, sometimes I'm not. So let's say I am for right now. So just nice and simple avocado, tomato, salt, cheese,
Mm,
Vegemite. Well, salt don't need too much with the Vegemite, but yeah, that's
okay.
a good juicy sandwich right there.
Love it. Sounds healthy too. Good stuff. Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time and or money to?
Well, okay. In Nepal, I went and I worked for a place called Karma Treks. And
Okay.
what we did was we were hiking into the mountains delivering coats to kids. So yeah, like it's really cold in the mountains there. So we have these nice puffy winter
Mhm.
coats. So we go out and trek. So when I've got a couple extra bucks, I like to shoot it to them
Love it.
and help Nepal.
Perfect. Love it. And last question is the best decade of music, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I'm gonna go with 70s because I was a big fan of like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, The
Nice.
Doors, like that growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how do you pick? But that's the one that comes to mind first.
No, I got you. Like I love like when I'm actually re-listening after the sound engineer gives me the podcast, I'm listening, building the rest of my notes. It's like I always have kind of the 70s music on the background, right? Because
Yeah.
there's stories that are told in there
Yeah, yeah,
from like
yeah.
whether it's Floyd or Zeppelin to Croce, right? Or like anything like the Kansas, Boston, that you could understand what they're saying, had a good rhythm, but there's actual stories that you could follow along, like reading a book. That's
Yeah,
I
like
love the stuff.
ballads, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
I love it. And James, how can we find you, my friend?
All right. Well, I think one of the easiest things to do is to check out my short masterclass. That'll give you it gives you all the information if you're a person who stutters or if you're someone who stutters. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it's discovered the three-step system that helps professionals and entrepreneurs speak with conviction and
Mm,
make effortless connections using my unstoppable voice process.
love
So
it.
it's a three-step thing, and it's really this will give you the information and a link to call me or make a book a free call with me.
Okay.
There's no pressure. I don't do pressure
Okay.
because pressure is the last thing that's ever going to work for anybody who stutters. This is going to make them stutter more and not want anything to do with it. So
Right.
it's really like, come check it out, have a
Yeah.
talk with me, think about it for a while, whatever you need to get yourself ready. But know that help is out there.
Yes.
This is the thing. Help has not been out there. And this is the thing that is there's just not a lot of support for stuttering. And
Right.
what there is isn't always, it's often not focused or specialized. And there's
Right.
a lot of distrust.
Right.
And my process, I am not trying to fix anybody. I am trying to help people become okay with themselves and manage their speech in a way that works for them.
Right. And what I was just so blown away about you is how you break it down and you actually make it. I know it's not never enjoyable, especially if you're a lifelong stutterer, but you make it kind of, in a sense, almost entertaining for them. That's what I'm kind of getting, where it's actually kind of fun for them while they're doing the hard work. You find that people like enjoy working with you. I mean, I hope that they do, but you know what I'm saying? Like actually enjoy working with your personality and what you have to offer them.
I think they enjoy working with me. I keep getting great feedback in
Good.
terms of like the energy that I put out.
Yeah.
And I hold space. It's my job to relentlessly hold space that stuttering is okay, even as I work to make it easier to speak. Right.
Wow.
So it's coming and working with me is not like going with a speech therapist where you feel like you're being judged because you got to speak a certain way. And
Right.
then when you start adding the other people, that's where it gets really fun. And that's where the real connections start to happen. Like people
Yeah.
connect with each other in
Yeah.
these programs,
And they
and it's just
support
so
each other,
beautiful to
man.
see.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like if you get, 10, and this is nothing against obese people, if you're listening there, you get 10 obese people together, right? And then they get past that kind of shameful part, like, or embarrassment part, but then they get around each other and they have someone like a leader like you or leading them and making it kind of fun. They start to support each other and they start to build probably, I'm sure some of your clients and that have lifelong friendships now through it,
Oh yeah.
which is
Absolutely.
beautiful. And
Absolutely.
squad, I just had a really fun conversation. I'm sorry for any technical issues that we had. It's not on James's end, it's definitely on my end, but we had a really good conversation about stuttering is not about just it happening in that moment. It's what happens after they stutter and their feelings that they get of lost opportunities, lost confidence. He said, not only does it run your life, but it can ruin your life. There's a process called fluency. It's great, but it's not what really matters deep down. It's what's underneath that fluency iceberg. When he broke it down, it's like just the tip of an iceberg is what it has. But if you're only using fluency only, you're just chipping away at the top, but that bottom still keeps growing, right? And it's what's underneath that really stops us in our tracks. And that's with anything in life. It's what's underneath that really stops us in the tracks. He brought up the ACT, the acceptance commitment therapy. And that's kind of like what he said, just in a nutshell, of like actually witnessing it, the stuttering, and just kind of letting it pass and not judging yourself, giving yourself grace and space, which I think is beautiful. And I really want you to get over to my good friend James's like site over here. And if you're watching again, I'm gonna pull it up here. I want you to get over here to this site, which will be in the show notes. And make sure you go in if you're working with somebody, if somebody that stutters or you want to stop stuttering yourself, please, please, please go join the site. And I'll put that in the show notes that's below as well. And my good friend James he's raising the vibration of the world through what he does. He's planting trees he's probably never going to sit in the shade of, right? He does things for the intention, not the attention. He's not saying, look at me, I can help you stop stutter. No, dude, he wants to help and he's adding it into group therapy or group settings to where people can support each other, which I love that. And he's all about the collection of memories, which I'm sure in Peru he just had built a few of those just in the past couple of days. But also, biggest thing, and all joking aside, he holds space to understand that stuttering is okay in his space, even while he's leveling up and improving you. And that's the kind of people we have here at Time to Shine today. So, James, thank you so much for coming on. You level up your health, you level up your wealth. You've earned your varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. I absolutely love your guts.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to speak with your audience. And for anyone who's listening, especially if you're someone who stutters, here's what I want you to take away. There are people out there that need to hear your voice. Not a polished version, not a perfect version, but the real you. And if you invite me to help you, I would be honored to do so.
Love that. Take good care, James. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today, proudly brought to you by Inlet Properties and Investments. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on the Time to Shine Today podcast, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also, there you will see our recommended resources. We hope you will help support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have been listening to, it'd be great if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's your time to shine.